Got it.
Sounds good.
You're not in the waiting room.
Well, yeah, it may have, you know,
Okay.
yeah, because I was trying to get in. So, all right, let me go back here.
Okay. Hello, all. Happy Thursday. Sorry for the delay. I had gone to start the Zoom and my computer blue screened on me, so my apologies. So just letting people jump in for a quick second and we're going to get started because we do have a lot to go over today. So I kind of just wanted to touch on something from last week really quickly. So for anybody who was on last week's call, we were talking about going to holiday parties and talking with family about what we're doing now and what they're doing now and kind of getting that ball rolling to get appointments set up in the new year. Guys, please mind the background noise. So yes, basically, I got sucked down a rabbit hole of trying to over explain a concept. Don't do that. General rule of thumb, if you can't write it on a cocktail napkin because you will run out of space, and I mean a cocktail napkin, not a dinner napkin. If you can't write it on a cocktail napkin or explain the concept in 30 seconds or less, you're over explaining and you need to actually make an appointment with this person. So tell them that, you know, you'd love to sit down with them, that there is, you know, there are various concepts that you'd love to go over and deal with their particular situation, but don't over explain. A cocktail party is not the place. A family party is not the place. But yeah, so that's the general rule of thumb, and just always be listening. The whole point is to fill up your calendar so that come January 1st, you can hit the ground running because you already know who you're talking to. Does that make sense? Anybody? Do I need to repeat what I just went over?
Yeah, I'm just getting in.
Okay. So just to recap very quickly, I wanted to acknowledge the fact that last week when I was trying to explain how to talk to people at holiday parties, that I kind of got sucked down the rabbit hole of over explaining. So don't do that. And when you're talking to people, if you cannot write it on a cocktail napkin or explain it in 30 seconds or less, tell them that you'd love to discuss whatever situation with them further, that there are many things that you could do to help them, but you'd like to actually make an appointment at a time that you can sit down and address specifically that issue, that a party is not the best time or place to go over those things.
That's true.
Okay?
Yep.
Great. Okay, so let me just log into the software really quickly because that is what we are doing today. So we did get started a little bit late and I apologize. My computer is apparently having some issues and it blue screened on me. So we're going to do a bit of an abbreviated overview of the software because it usually takes me like an hour and 10 minutes to get through the first appointment. So I want to hit on the key points, make make some comments that will help you like remember things. And if you have questions, please feel free to jump in, but I don't think we're going to do like a full deep dive today. Okay. Okay. With that, I will share my screen. Okay, can everybody see the software?
I see.
Awesome. Okay, so let me just drag this over here. And if anybody is putting things in the chat and I'm not acknowledging you, unmute yourself and just ask me because I am multitasking. So how do we set up a new client? So we start by putting them in here. So test client test. You do need to put in an email address. So test client 25@gmail.com. And you also need to include a date of birth. So this is because you're talking about things like retirement. We need to know how old they are. So if we're 1980, we'll call it 1981. December the 1st, 1981. Awesome. This is a great place to include their mobile phone, just so that all of their information is in one place, but you don't actually need to do that. So let's get started. So it's automatically going to bring us to the client profile. If this is a Life Plan 360 client, we would have to put in their retirement age on this page. Normally what we do on these trainings is go through a platinum client, so we're just going to toggle back to that. This is also where you would put in their spouse as well. So if they have one, and you can include a separate email address, you can include a separate phone number, but you don't have to on that page. So we're just going to assume that this person is, we'll add a spouse. Spouse client. I cannot type today. But you do need to include a date of birth for this person as well. Say that they're 84, they're June 12th, 1984. Okay, so they're a platinum client. We've gone through the introduction, we've had that conversation. What are you hoping I can do for you? We've gotten their answer, we've gone through the 10,000 foot view. Okay, so for example, let's say that this couple has one child starting school in 24. They're planning on it costing them $100,000 out of pocket over 4 years, and our kid is Mary. Update. So it's going to show us that we need to be putting aside $20,000 per year for the next 5 years to make sure that we have enough money to put Mary through school. Awesome. This is a great point in time for us to find out if this person has an advisor. Because if they have an advisor, we're going to find out what the advisor's plan was to pay for this. If they don't have an advisor, then they don't have an advisor, and we can ask them, well, what have you guys thought about or talked about to figure out how you're going to pay for this? People at this point get very upset often because they feel like you're attacking them. But really you're not, and you can just, I just don't want to waste your time by discussing things that you've already thought about. So kind of that on the back foot, just kind of bringing it back down is beneficial to a lot of clients. That being said, this is a great place to be like, can I give you a bit of a reprieve on this? Awesome. Parkinson's Law number 1 says that work expands as to fill the time available for its completion. Your kid has 4 weeks to get a project done. When is it actually finished? It's the same thing with parents. Your kid is not a procrastinator. You are not a procrastinator. It's not about being lazy. It's not about being ill-prepared. It's Parkinson's Law. That being said, so we get to step 2. We've gone through all of these things. How much do you need? How long have you been saving? You know, let's say that they've got $200,000 right now. How much do you think you need to retire? Most people are going to tell you that they need somewhere between 1 million and 2 to retire with. So we will say that we need 125. Yeah, that's enough zeros. Update. Okay. Client retires at 68. Spouse retires at 67. Update. You do need to get those numbers in there. It does not matter what you put in. These are just for talking points and doing math. The retirement age is a little bit more important because that's how many years it will be adding for. But that being said, so once we've gone through the life will, we've gone through the budget, we've figured out where their assets are currently sitting. We've talked about Parkinson's Law, you know, mom and dad, why is it that you make more money now, but you had more expendable income when you just got out of college? By the way, expendable income is defined as any income that is not already allocated to something specific. It is money that you can do whatever you like with whenever you want to do it. That is what expendable income is. So if part of your budget is allocated specifically toward date night, that's not expendable. That's already allocated. So Parkinson's law number 2 says that expenses rise to match the available income. When you pay off a car, where was that $500 the following month? So again, guys, as you're going through this, become comfortable with the examples. So, with the example, when you pay off the car, at that point, I ask, have you ever paid off a car? Most people have. Some have not. Okay, have you paid off a credit card? Whatever it is, make it real for them. Make them feel it, like give them ownership of it, because then they can really visualize this concept. So if they've never paid off a car, they don't know what that feels like. But if they have paid off a credit card, okay, so what was your payment on that credit card every month? Oh, it was $100. Okay, great. So the month after you paid off that credit card, did you have an extra $100 in your savings account? Most people are going to say yes. Okay, great. What about the month after that and the month after that? Were you continually saving an additional $100 a month? This is when people are like, yeah, not really. It got spent on something else. That's Parkinson's law. Okay. So as I said, guys, I'm not doing the same in-depth deep dive because there are a couple things that I want to point out today. But if you do have questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to jump in. So step 3 is where we build the plan. So for example, we're going to say the client is making $100,000 a year. And the spouse is making $80,000 a year. And they are both contributing to qualified funds. We have a 401k and a 403b, and he's going to tell us that he is contributing 5% of income. So that's $5,000 a year divided by 12 is $417 a month. And half of that is matched. So we're going to say that there's $100,000 in that account. And half of it's matched. So we'll call it 208 is matched. And she is also contributing 5%. So $80,000 times 0.05 divided by 12 is $333 a month. And she's got, we'll just call it $50,000 in this account. Okay, so to point out here, it doesn't come up with a match, is it matched question, because we've said it's a 403b. 403bs are never matched, just structurally by the way they are set up by law, they can't be matched. So update. Okay, so other retirement accounts, we're going to say that they have a Roth, and it belongs to the client, and they are contributing $500 a month. Their current balance is $25,000, and we're going to update that. We're going to also say that they have a rollover IRA, belongs to, we'll say that one is a spouse, and that is also $25,000. Update. Awesome. We are going to say that this person has a savings account. It makes us pick, but it probably belongs to both of them. And they are saving $300 a month. Their current balance is $12,000. Update. We are also going to say that they have a mutual fund. And they're saving $100 a month. Actually, you know what? We're going to call it 50 because I want to illustrate a point here. And their current balance is, let's call it $3,000. Okay. They do have a mortgage. Their monthly is, we're going to call it $1,200. The home is worth $500,000. And they only owe 200 on it still. Update. Okay. Now we're gonna take a look at their debts. They have a car note. $600. His car. Current balance. The current balance is $25,000. Update. We're gonna say that they have 2 car notes. This one is $250. Her car, this one's almost paid off. It's $5,000. Update. We're gonna say that they have some credit card debt. We're gonna say that this is $50 a month. The current balance is $800. Visa. Debt, credit card, monthly. We're gonna say that this one, they're really trying to pay off. This will be the Amex. The current balance is $4,500. Update. Debt. We'll give them one more credit card. Monthly amount is $250. Other. Current balance is $8,000. Update. That we're going to say that they have some student loans as well. Student loans, something I'd like to point out about student loans is that a lot of people are going to tell you that they're not paying anything monthly right now because their loans are in forbearance or some other situation, whereas for a period of time, they do not have a payment. But in short order, they're going to have a big payment. So at this point, what I ask them is, what is that payment going to be? Because I've genuinely had people tell me that their monthly payment was going to be $800 on their student loans. And if they're not currently paying that, they're not currently planning for it. And that is a tough nut to crack when it comes due, but it will come due, and there's nothing that you can do about it, because even if they declared bankruptcy, most of their student loans are still going to exist. So their monthly, just for the sake of argument, let's say that the monthly payment on this is $400. Master's degree. And they still have $20,000 left on that loan. So they're actually in decent shape. So I'm just doing some quick addition here. Can both of those? Yeah, okay. So mom and dad, this is everything that we have going on right now financially? Yes, it is. Okay, great. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to build the test bank, right? So what does a bank have? A bank has cash and a bank has cash flow. Which one's more important? This is an awesome opportunity for you to make your client feel smart. It does not matter which one they say, go with it. They are both equally important. So if they say that cash, a big pile of money, is more important, exactly, because you can't have money going out if you don't have money to start with, right? Awesome. If they say cash flow, exactly, because you can't have money going out if you don't have money coming in, right? So either way, they're right. Just make them feel smart at this point. It's a great way to kind of bolster your client who you've knocked down several times at this point. Okay, so do you mind if we take a look at ways that we could view these numbers differently to build that bank? So notice that I'm continually asking permission. Every time I do anything, I'm asking permission. So for each one of these items, I'm going to ask the same questions. For the assets, I'm going to ask, what is this for? Why do you have money here? Then we're going to find out, is it guaranteed? Is it guaranteed to grow? Is it guaranteed to not lose money? Is it taxable? Could it incur penalties, and do you have access to it when you need it within 48 hours? Okay, so for those, we're asking all of those questions repetitively on every single item that we're looking at. So on the debts, we're trying to pay those off. So we'll get to that in a second. So let me ask you this. Do you know who Ted Bennett is? No, nobody knows who Ted Bennett is. They're all going to say no. It's fine. Just go with it. So Ted Bennett actually created the 401k, and he did an interview with the Wall Street Journal several years back and said that he was dismayed at the way that the 401k had been implemented in American society. To make a long story short, what he said as the creator is that money that is not matched may be better in another vehicle. So that being said, can we take a look at what it would do to reallocate the unmatched portions of your 401ks and 403bs to the test bank? Wait for them to answer. 99 times out of 100, they will say yes. So, you know, and if they balk, okay, you know, we're really just moving fake numbers from column A to column B to see how it looks. If we don't like the way it plays out, we move them all back. That usually gets people to a place, oh yeah, well, we can just see what it looks like. Every now and again, you will find somebody who is married to their 401k and they don't want to see what it looks like. Move on. At that point, you just move on. So what did I say? Okay. So 417 minus 208 is what, 209? And if you ever find yourself in a situation where you need to do math, bring up your calculator and share the math that you're doing on your screen so that everybody knows where you got your numbers from. So that being said, the 403b is never matched, so we can move that entire thing over. So now we're updating this. Okay. So just by reallocating the 401k to somewhere that is guaranteed to grow, it's guaranteed to never lose money. They'd have access to it within 72 hours. It will never be taxed and it cannot incur penalties. They're now saving $542 a month, which annually is $6,500. That being said, we're going to ask the same questions about the Roth and ask them again, how much of this would you be comfortable reallocating to the test bank? And I used Test as this family just because they're a Test client. But if they were, say, the Smith family, you'd say something like the Smith family bank. People really like hearing that. So that being said, we're going to say that they're comfortable reallocating all of it. So $500. Helps if I put it in the right box. Just be aware of that, guys, when you're going through these. So cash flow will direct it over here to the monthly and yearly column. The amount to add to your life plan is the cash pile. It's not uncommon to put a number in the wrong box, just go back and fix it. It's not a big deal. Just be aware of it. Okay, so we're going to ask them about the IRA because we're planting that seed to set ourselves up for an annuity rollover down the line. But we just want to get that in their head at this point, that their IRA is not guaranteed. It could be penalized. It could be taxable. And it's not liquid. So we're trying to get that across. So the savings account, we're going to have the same question. You know, what is it for? Is it taxable? Is it guaranteed? All the questions. So,
Yes.
okay. Was there a question?
Oh, no, it's okay. I just say yes.
Okay. So thinking about this $12,000, how much of it would we be comfortable reallocating to the Test family bank? You know, actually, first, let me ask you, when would you ever need this much money in less than 48 hours? And let them answer. The only answer I've ever heard is bail. And that's because I was sitting down with someone who happens to be a police officer at the time. So most people are going to tell you something like half or 75%. Every now and again, you are going to get somebody who's like, all of it. You can take all of it. I generally don't reallocate all of it for one very simple reason, because there will be a time where a client needs money today. Might not be a lot of money, but what if they want to go to a fair, the movies, whatever, something that they need cash for? They need to have cash in their bank account that they can literally just walk up to the ATM and get money, right? Yes. Am I alone in the room?
Yes. I mean, you're not
Okay.
alone, but yes.
Okay. So for that reason, I generally encourage people to leave something in this account. So we're gonna move for this client, we're gonna move $9,000. And their monthly contribution, thinking about the monthly contribution, how much would you be comfortable reallocating to the test family bank? And it does get repetitive. It does. You've heard it 100,000 times if you've heard it once. And after a while, you feel like you're repeating yourself. But to the client, this is the first time they're hearing this. So it is important to have that control, that ownership, and to be giving permission for every single one of these assets, because to be quite honest with you, people are more comfortable discussing their medical history than their finances. And that is, in my experience, incredibly true. And I've actually said that to people when we're getting to a point where it's like, based on your income, I feel like we're missing some assets. And they're like, oh, well, yeah, I don't talk about this or that. It's like, yeah, because people don't. People never want to talk about their finances. It's more comfortable to talk about your medical history than your finances. And that usually gets a good laugh. So for this redirect, we're going to say half of it. So yeah, half of it is 150. And update that. So this mutual fund, we're going to get to this mutual fund. Can anybody tell me why somebody is contributing $50 a month to a mutual fund that has a balance of $3,000?
They forgot they had it.
That is one reason. More commonly, this is not an asset. Why could this be something that is not considered an asset?
Cash.
What?
On cash right away. That's one thing I believe. Okay. And
Yeah.
it is in stock market.
Yeah, it is. It is. But the reason that I would not qualify this as an asset, it is a pile of money. That's an asset by definition. But the reason I would not qualify this as an asset is because this I would put in the lifestyle column. This is somebody who, they contribute $50 a month to it. It's kind of like buying scratch offs, to be quite honest with you. They get they get jazzed about getting that ding on their phone because they made money. So this investing, this $50 a month, is not about making money necessarily. It's about, oh, I'm trading, I'm making money. It's not about building an asset. It's a hobby. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Does it? Because I can review it again if it doesn't.
that makes sense.
Okay. So once we've determined that this is a hobby, I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm not gonna try and convince somebody that they need to give up their hobby, because now we're no better than Dave Ramsey, who says you're terrible people and you need to buy beater cars and get rid of your cell phones. And yeah, no, I'm sorry. I'm not in the business of changing people's lifestyle. So if that's lifestyle, awesome.
Yeah.
So at this point, we're going to come back to the mortgage. Normally, we just go from the top down and come back to that. So again, at this point, we need to pay off some of the debts, right? To build the bank, because debt is the sea anchor to wealth, correct?
Yes,
Okay. So we know right now that in our money column, we've got $9,000. So we have a limited number of things that we can pay off, right?
Yeah,
Yep, okay. So this is where I bring up the debt to payment ratio. So we're going to divide each payment by the total debt. So 0.24, oh yeah, it's 2.4% on his car. 250 divided by 5,000 is 5% on her car. That's not bad. 50 divided by 800 is 6.25%. The Amex is 4,500, 11%. 250 divided by 8,000 is 3%. And 400 divided by 20,000 is 2%. So which one would anyone pay off first?
Credit card.
Which one? We've got three.
The last, the 11% thing.
The 11% one. That was, I believe, the Amex. Pay that off. Update. So we went from, it was like 500 and something to, I know it was more than that, but yeah, so we've just increased $500 a month and we've cut our bank, the cash pile in half. Okay, great. So what else do we know at this point? We know that we can still pay this off, right? We can pay off the Visa. Update. Okay. So we have $3,700. So mom and dad, $3,700 is really close to 5,000. So could we take that extra $1,300 out of either the savings or the mutual fund? I know I don't want to play with your lifestyle. That's why I'm asking. So most people will say yes, they will take the 1,300 just to see how it looks, just for the kicks and giggles. We're gonna add $1,300 from the mutual fund into our bank. So now we have $5,000 here. So now we can pay this off. Yes, update. Okay. So we are at the point where they're saving just shy of $2,000 a month. And we've gotten them out of a significant amount of debt. We've decreased their payments $800 a month by doing that. Sound great? Yes?
Yes.
No, maybe?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so at this point though, we still have some other pretty hefty debts that we can't get rid of, right?
right,
Right?
yeah,
Okay. So just for the sake of argument, could we see possibly maybe what it might look like if we refinanced the house?
yeah, okay,
Okay, most people are going to say no at this point because their house is worth $500,000. They owe less than half of that. So they're very, very tight. Okay, great. We won't refinance it. Let's see, great. We're saving $23,000 a year, almost 24. Let's see how this plays out. Okay. So, mom and dad, Mary's going off to college in a little over a year, right? So when Mary goes off to college, I want to ask you something. So the Department of Labor did a study that the cost of raising a child from birth to 18 is $233,000. This study was done in 2017 with families with 2 children making $100,000. So you have 1 child and you're making significantly more than that, but it's approximate, which boils down to $1,100 a month. And Parkinson's Law number 2 says that expenses will rise to match the available income. So if we're no longer spending that money on our child when they go off to school, it's going to disappear into the ethos if we don't recapture it. So let me ask you this. I'm not suggesting that you're going to figure out where $1,100 a month went, but could you recapture $800 a month? Let them answer. Most people will say yes. Awesome. So that's about $10,000 a year. And, you know, so this year we're saving $23,900. Next year, Mary goes off to school. So we're saving $23,900 plus the additional 10 because Mary's going off to school, and we're spending $25,000 on her education, which brings us to a total of just under $9,000 saved. 2025, rinse, repeat. 2026, rinse, repeat. 2027, rinse, repeat. 2028, what happens? Mary graduates. So we're saving $23,900 because we always have. We're saving an additional 10 because Mary has graduated from college. She got a job. She's living in her own little 1-bedroom apartment and living her best life. So now we're saving $33,900 every year until we retire. So add all of that up, and what we have is $805,000. What have we not added over here? Anybody?
Like raises, if they get a raise or.
That is true. We haven't talked about raises, but in any scenario, we never talk about raises because that is how their lifestyle expands. This is the cash in a tin can column. We have not included any interest. If they take those dollars, shove them in a tin can and stick it under their bed, they will have $805,000 when they go to retire. So let me ask you this, Mom and Dad. What if you could get a guaranteed 40% growth over the next 27 years? How would that make you feel?
What's the rate?
What?
What's the rate you told? 4%?
40% growth over the next 20% years.
Ah, okay.
27 years.
Okay.
So great, let's take a look at that. So their guaranteed growth at that point is $1.16 million. And they still have $200,000 in their retirement accounts. Will that grow? So then we ask them how that'll grow. If they don't know, but they have an idea on the percentage. So for anybody who doesn't know Einstein's rule of 72, to figure out how long it will take your money to double, you divide the interest rate that you are earning into 72. So let's say, for the sake of argument, that they think they are making 6% a year. Calculate. Your money will double in 12 years at 6% interest. Awesome. So we've got 27 years, so it'll double in 12. So in 27 years, it will double and then double again. So that is 4 times growth, which brings us to a total retirement of $1.9 million. Okay. And that's without getting rid of the debts. What would happen if we did get rid of the debts? So we're going to come back over here to default scenarios. We're going to come to scenarios. We're going to duplicate the default scenario. Are you sure you want to duplicate the scenario? Okay. Okay, we're going to edit this with refinance. Update. Okay. So we're going to come over here and we're going to go with scenario with refinance. And we're going to go to platinum. We're going to come over to step 3. Okay. So we are going to pay off all of the debts. Update. 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 Yes. Okay. So we now are saving $3,200 a month, but we're $53,000 in the hole, right? Does everybody see this?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay. So, and this is a scenario, the current mortgage rate, last time I looked, was like 7.5%, and the Fed is gonna raise it again. So this becomes a very, very tenuous situation, and you want to be very, very judicious with its application, which is one of the reasons why I really wanted to show you the scenarios situation, because in the current market, I would not do a refinance for a person who does not need the money to get out of debt. But this car note is probably more than 7%. That car note might be more than 7%. The student loan is probably close. And the credit cards, which they were able to get rid of those. So if they couldn't get rid of everything else and they had no equity, we can work with that. I'd probably put them in a cycle of, let's build you a term policy and work toward paying out those debts. But yeah, I don't just willy-nilly go into a refinance to bulk up the plan. At this point, the refinance rate is not worth it. But when we're trying to get out of debt, it very well could be. So we're going to refinance the house. It automatically defaults to 80%. We don't need 80%. We only need an extra $53,000. So they owe $200,000. We're going to $253,000. We're just getting them out of debt. And we're going to say that the rate is 7%. Okay. So it's going to cost them $483 a month to do this. Okay. Update. So 483. So to give an accurate representation, we're going to say that they're redirecting most of their Roth payment into their mortgage to keep everything even. Admitting people. So to keep everything even, we now have everything balanced. We're trying to do some updates such that will make more sense without having to do workarounds, but there it is for right now. So now we're saving $27,000 a month, which is $33,000 a year. So go to step 4. And now what we're going to do, we're saving $33,000 a year because we always have. Mary goes to school. We're spending $25,000. So now we're saving 18. Rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. When she graduates from school, we're now saving $43,000 a year. So our cash in a tin can column over here becomes just over $1 million. And our guaranteed growth becomes $1.5 million. Add that to our retirement accounts, and we're at 2.3. Does everybody see that?
And that includes paying off the house? Yeah.
We have not paid off the house yet. However, keep in mind that we took out what, $253,000.
Right.
So just from the cash in a tin can column,
Oh.
we could pay it off in 2031.
Mhm.
And you know, the rates will eventually come back down. So at that point, you could refinance to bring the rate down, which brings the payment down. And the debt would be less at that point. And the average American family refinances every 5 to 7 years. So again, in this market, a refinance is not the first thing I'm going to go to. But in a situation where it's the only way to get this family out of debt, yes, I would consider it. I would use the scenarios tool to go through and figure out which one is more beneficial. And sometimes when you have a family that's that far in debt, they don't have the credit to refinance. So that's not even an option. Or if you have a family that's that far in debt, they may not even have any equity to refinance with. So, there are a lot of moving parts, but it is something that is a tool that you can use. And I wanted you guys to see it so that you'd be aware of when and how I use it. Notice that I only refinanced for what we needed to get out of debt, as opposed to refinancing at the full 80%, because that's gonna throw their entire budget out of whack, because as it is, it's costing them additional 400 and something a month. But it's one payment instead of 3, and it gets rid of those student loans that currently they are not paying but will be coming due in the next couple of months, and they're going to have to figure out how they're making a $400 payment. So really, it's almost a wash. Does that make sense?
Mhm. Yeah,
Does anybody have any questions about that? Okay. So you were talking about paying off the house. So if this is our plan, obviously we'd come through this as through normal. On a second appointment, we'd do all this stuff. But you were talking about paying off the house. So if we refinanced it now, next year our mortgage schedule will be $250. We'll have $66,000 in here. So according to our mortgage schedule and year-end balance, we have $267,000 in 2030. And our mortgage schedule is 226. And at that point, our kid is already out of college, right? So could we pay off the house then? We could, right? We could just pay it off
yeah.
and be done.
Mhm.
Or we could let it come out a few years. But the point is that we're retiring in 27 years, right?
Right.
So it's not going to be a big deal to pay off $50,000 if we've got over $1 million in the bank, right?
Right.
So, but I mean, at any point along this line, they could have borrowed from themselves to pay off that house. Because if they've got, let's say right here, they've got $500,000 in the bank, they've got $194,000 left on their mortgage. Couldn't they then borrow the 194 from themselves, pay off the mortgage, and then continue to pay their mortgage back to their own bank
Yeah,
and recreate that situation that I jumped down the rabbit hole last week and went way too far into depth about using your own money to finance your life? They could do that, right?
yeah.
So that is a viable option. And keeping in mind, this is the current mortgage schedule as if they're paying 7% interest on this mortgage for the next 30 years. Eventually, interest rates will come back down. So at that point, wouldn't they refinance for like 4%? Wouldn't that make sense?
Not sure.
So that payment or that mortgage schedule will likely change over time and it'll become easier.
Mhm.
So
So Rhonda, it would probably be better for them to just pay it and just pay themselves back. If they pay themselves back, how much would they pay back?
Whatever
so
they
their
want.
mortgage
I mean,
schedule or
if they use their bank to pay the mortgage off, how much they have to put back into their bank to pay themselves back?
they don't have to actually. So with an insurance bank, they don't have to pay that back, which is why it becomes such a useful retirement tool.
Mhm.
Because yes, it is technically a loan, but if you don't pay it back, the insurance company knows that they are going to get their money back eventually because they have a death benefit that they are going to pay at some point.
Right.
So if there's a loan against $1 million policy and that loan is $100,000, they're going to say, okay, so the death benefit in whatever year you passed comes to this amount. It was $1 million in that year for simple math. And the total owed on this loan is $100,000. Beneficiaries get $900,000.
That's good.
So if you don't pay the loan back, it will get taken care of eventually. But if you do pay it back, it'll be there the next time you want to borrow from yourself.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, I would set it up such that you're paying whatever mortgage payment you were paying. Just pay that back to yourself. If that was a comfortable rate for you,
Mhm.
just continue to pay the same amount of money, just pay it back to yourself. And your bank will start to grow faster.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So I know I rushed through a bunch of stuff today. So I want to make sure that I leave a couple minutes for questions. And we are at 5 of. So does anybody have any questions? Don't everybody jump in at once. Okay. So if anybody does have any questions, comments, concerns that come up, need help with a build, let me know. I hope this was beneficial to you because I know normally I do a role play and we go through the same thing over and over again. I kind of wanted to point out some things that are available to you in the software that maybe we don't talk about quite as much. So a couple of last minute kind of housekeeping items. One, make sure that you're all registering for boot camp March 1st, 2nd, and 3rd in Dallas, Texas. 2, there are still, it's just over 2 weeks left until the end of the year. So we do have the holiday bonus contest still running. There is still time to get applications in and issued paid by the end of the year. So take advantage of that. And also the Valentine's Day boot camp contest is also still running. Any business that you submit for the holiday bonus contest, whether or not it makes it for the holiday bonus contest, it is still going to count for the Valentine's Day boot camp contest. So make sure that you are getting out there and talking to people and putting in business, because it could be there are some great benefits to the contest in addition to all of the commission that you will be earning. And if you do not feel confident sitting down with your own clients, by all means, reach out to me. I'm going to put my email in the chat. .com. Yep. If you do not feel confident sitting down with your own clients, please feel free to reach out to me. We can make an appointment to sit down with your clients. I generally do a 60-40 split on any business generated on clients that you bring to the table. So you're making money and you are learning in the process. And also, yeah, if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to reach out to me. There's something else I wanted to mention. Kathy, do we have anything else going on right now that I forgot to mention?
I can't think of anything.
I thought there was something else. Okay. Yep. Take advantage of the contests, guys. And I very much look forward to seeing you all at boot camp. Your homework for this week is to figure out what your elevator pitch is. This should be something that you can describe what you do in 15 seconds or less. So figure out what your elevator pitch is. Feel free to email me if you are trying to curate an elevator pitch and you would like a second pair of eyes on it. So for me, I
don't
tell
say
people that I'm a
insurance agent.
financial consultant. Did somebody have a question?
Don't say insurance agent.
Yeah, never say insurance agent. Ever. Like, people will get off on the wrong floor just to get out of the elevator as soon as you say that you're an insurance agent. So it's right up there with used car salesman. So yeah, don't use the word insurance. But yes, figure out what your elevator pitch is, and also make a list of people that you need to reach out to, and genuinely be interested in these people, because if you solve their problems, eventually yours will be solved, whether by them or by somebody else. Everybody knows people. And yeah, so make a list of people that you need to reach out to, and I would like everybody to reach out to one person before next week and let me know how that goes. So with that, we're right at the top of the hour. Bang on time. So does anybody have any last minute questions before we adjourn for the day? Okay. Well, have a great weekend. I will see you same time, same place next week. And please let me know in the interim if there's anything that you need or that I can help you with. Again, I apologize for the delay today. And I will talk to you all next week.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.